All right, my name is Peter Brusso for 101 Small Business Mastermind. My lower third is not working today for technical difficulties from Google, so that's who I am. And we have our standard cadre with us today. Say good morning, Dick.
Good morning, Dick.
That's Richard Bentley, Dick. So good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Dick.
Yeah, there you go. And then Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Dick. Good morning, everybody.
And Phil. Good morning, Phil.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
All the way from the Windy City, Chicago. Hey, I heard you guys got your first little bit of snow.
We did on Halloween. We did.
Yeah, Halloween night. You guys got some snow. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's start off. Last week, I didn't get a chance to talk about what apps are for a website. And you see a lot of times, including user-friendly media, want to sell you an app for your business. And people don't understand the difference between an app and a website. And basically an app is what goes on your cell phone. But a lot of people don't understand that smartphones have apps. And the apps that you have on a smartphone literally reside on their phone. Like here's some of mine, and I have pages of them, so you can see got pages of various apps that make your smartphone do smart stuff. But in the case of an app for your business, what can that do? Well, your apps can be developed so that, of course, what would you pay to have your app sit on a phone that sleeps with me, goes everywhere with me? I'm not talking about a website, but an app that sits here that I can click on, and or you can send me messages from your app right to my phone. That would be daily specials possibly, weekly specials possibly. If you've done some work for somebody, you can send them an invoice. You can get paid through your app. Your app is literally a lifeline to your clients. So if you can get a client to actually download your app onto their smartphone, the value of that is it hangs around with them 24/7. And a lot of businesses, they don't get it. And they think an app, they're just going to use this app or whatever. I won't necessarily use the app, but you can communicate to me through your app that I put on my phone. And there are cases where, of course, you do use the apps on your phone. I have a little vibration monitor thing, and I have a scanner thing that allows me to listen to Phil's police department there in Chicago. My greatest pastime is listening to all the stuff that goes on that scanner, which is unbelievable because I thought I'd seen and heard everything, and every day I listen to that scanner, Phil, you guys in Chicago do something completely bizarre. I mean, never heard of it before. So, but that's the power of that app. And on that app, on the scanner app, for example, they do have advertisements that pop up when you go to use it. So they've got lots of people watching an app. Then, like Mark Giardino's website, PalmSpringsSport.com, he's got a lot of eyeballs to it. And that's the first gate. If you can get a lot of eyeballs to something, now you can put ads out there. And apps are similar devices like that. So I wanted to cover that. Does anybody have any question about apps?
Well, I have a comment. An app, if I put an app on my phone, then I'm giving you permission, Mr. App Owner or Ms. App Owner, to interrupt my day when a little number 1 shows up on my phone and says, hey, you got a message from PCB, or Peter Brusso. And I say, wow, I'm glad I got the app. And I go and I read the message, and it's something about you. And it's something that doesn't appeal to me. And it's something that upsets the hell out of me because I stopped what I was doing because I hate that number 1 showing up on the app. The app, I give you permission to give me value, not to bring value to you. If you're going to interrupt my day, it better be something that I believe you thought I'd be interested in. I may not, but at least you tried. I'll give you credit for trying to please me. I'll give you demerits if you're just trying to please you, is the point I'm trying to make.
Right, and there's a local restaurant chain here in the Palm Springs area called Mario's. They have 7 locations, Italian food, and they have an app that I actually downloaded. And this was an earlier designed app Now you can get apps designed by Fivers. For $25, basically, you can get apps designed. I know one ex-client of mine spent $4,200 to get an app done. That's a crazy price. But in the old days, that's the way it was. Most of the programming for apps, I believe, is done with software called Ruby on Rails. That's one of the pieces of it. So not everybody does Ruby on Rails, so it's a specialized thing. But now most people do. But the app for Mario's, they'll send out the daily specials. I kept getting so much of the daily specials, I finally undid their app. I'm not a great fan necessarily yet, anyway. I'm kind of hooked on Charlie Maroney's food, which was Dick's birthday yesterday, and we went over and had a phenomenal sandwich at their Italian bakery and deli there. But that's a practical application right then and there. This sandwich was newly invented. If you had an app, we could have pushed out to all the people that had downloaded it about this particular new item and really bump the sales up dramatically. But that's the power of an app. And you're right, Frank. It's not all about me. It's what the app would be offering you something at a special rate that nobody else can get, for example. Or like Veterans Day is coming up, and Mario's is actually, if you walk in the Mario's and show them your VA card or DD-214, your discharge paper, you eat for free that day. Those are great values that they need to be pushing out on their apps.
Okay. Thinking about the apps as you're talking, and again, my wife and I go to Mario's quite often because we like their food and their prices. But if they're going to send me again, I'm trying to think because I don't have their app, and now I may not get it because of what you just told me. If they were going to send me a daily special every day, I said, you know what? It's all about you and not about me. That's not a big deal. However, if they send me a message that says, hey, for app downloaders or app users only, come on in on Tuesday from 4 to 7, we'll give you a free dessert. Show us your app and show us this message to your waitress, a free dessert or whatever it is, a free cup, whatever it is. Now I feel exclusive. Now I feel special. Now it's really about me, as opposed to saying, hey, the world, here's a daily special. Anybody can get whether you have my app or not. Make me proud and make it exclusive. Because I got the app, I get a special deal. I'll never delete the app because I don't want to miss those special deals.
Yeah, here's another interesting case in point. If you're a plumber, for example, I've got their app downloaded. And if I'm having trouble with a sink or something and I want to get a bid or want to get your thoughts on this thing, I can take a picture, I can do a video, send it through the app back to the owner, who could take a look at it and say, yeah, here's what we got to do. If you want us to do it, here's kind of the price range to do that kind of thing. So, I mean, you can actually utilize these things for communication purposes, for bidding purposes, or in my case, is I'm working on websites and teaching people how to do that. They could always use an app that I don't have, but they could take a picture or a screenshot of what they're having trouble with and send it to me and ask for quick advice, and that build a relationship. It's just great.
I just thought of something, and again, since we're having an open dialogue here, excuse me for dominating. If I'm a plumber, how about if I Uberized my app? Let me tell you what that is. I've got the Brusso Plumbing Company in my app, and I got something happening in my house. I push a button, okay? I push a button, and within so many minutes, a plumber called and said, "Hey, Peter, what's your problem?" Well, I got this thing here. What he describes the problem. He said, "Well, send me a quick picture of it," or, "Hey, just go in and turn this knob to this knob." And you solve the problem for me, or you send somebody out immediately to solve the problem for me. I will never delete your app.
No, and that's exactly what these plumber apps do.
Wow, that is powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you think of anything that you do. Well, 27 seconds, Frank. You could have an app, and here I get stuck with my tagline, or it didn't work, or something.
Absolutely.
But I can get immediate connectivity to you. Chances are to help me out of that problem.
Right.
And boy, an app is absolutely powerful in those terms. And that's the difference between a website that's static. I mean, yeah, you can send a message and this and that, and if they get it on their phone or the whatever, they have to log in to see it. That app resides with me in the car, Frank. I can talk to you, via 3G or 4G, whatever I'm hooked up to, and so apps definitely have a marketing place, and it's really to think about. And yeah, somebody has to take action to download that app. That's the bad news. They only have to do it once, and then you got them.
Are you marketing to existing clients at first?
They're all existing clients, typically.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they got to find out about it. I mean, at Mario's, for example, they have a table tent that says, here, shoot this thing here with your smartphone and download our app and get specials and get notified when we're having specials. And the other part about that part, and I know, Frank, we both have a propensity for trying to fix restaurants. And
Yeah, we do.
And if they have too much salmon that they're going to have to end up throwing out here in a day or two, man, coming on with a salmon special, even if you sold it for them to take home to cook, instead of throwing it away, make some money on that inventory, And these guys would be loyal fans, and I think that's really, really important to energize your base. The loyal fans you do have, if you can energize them with an app, we might want to think about getting an app made for 27 seconds, Frank.
I'm thinking about it now, and which means I can't shut it off, which means I'll think about it while we're talking.
Exactly.
But no, and I also think it should be part of a kit, a first aid kit.
Yeah, very well. And we haven't even mentioned that yet. And Dick, the same idea. I don't know whether we could do it for Legal Shield, but since you are sort of my Legal Shield representative, I pick up the phone and ask you something, right? But imagine if we had an app that we could communicate from. That might be kind of cool.
They're going to have an app before the end of the year for its members and
Excellent.
associates. So yeah.
Excellent. So they're heading that way. Good.
Yeah. But my only concern, Dick, because Illegal Shield is so big, is that they have big itis. In other words, they say, well, it's a great way for us to advertise. No, it's not. It's a great way to get access to my gateway and then to help me.
Right.
So I man, that would be awesome. Hey, by the way, Peter, thank you. This has been great ideas.
Now here's an idea from Mark. Mark can generate these directory apps and do the opposite. He could make money off of advertising for these people. So someone comes in, he can maybe they fly into California and his QR code is sitting there on a billboard in the LAX airport, and people want to know what there is to do in the surrounding communities, and here he's got advertising on there that he can that people will click on. So that's a way that possibly can work in the revenue generating strategy as well.
Well, that's exactly right, Phil. I'm into the monetization business, and an app for me is another avenue of monetization, a huge avenue for me. And it, like Peter says, you have your website, but also with your app included in your website, they go to your website, you give them a choice to look at your website or to download the app, and you go from there. Right.
And you can promote that, get a little pop-up tent and start going to these Tough Mudder and Ironman races and whatnot.
It's definitely in the business plan.
Definitely. I can see it.
And
working.
It also helps your, what is it, Peter? Your CSS code, or it does help your SEO also.
Yeah, it does mildly. I mean, all of those things mean you're trying to be an authority in your field, so it's all a measure of
part of the puzzle. It is another piece of the puzzle. Probably a big piece.
I don't know how big it is, Mark. I don't know whether one is bigger than the other, but they all add up to. It's like a diamond.
Exactly.
Facets to.
Well, they do have when you do your SEO analysis, they do have a section there for your app there.
Absolutely.
It's in there.
And your mobile capability and
That's
your app.
that's
Both.
right.
And they're different. A lot of people think having a mobile site is an app, and it's not. A mobile site.
That I understand.
Well, for the listeners, a
Right.
mobile app
Uh-huh.
is not a mobile site. A mobile site is literally a cut down of your main site, and I have some argument with responsive sites because it takes all your data and just moves it around. But you're also some people still have data plans, so you're shoving data down their pipeline that they shouldn't have to pay for. So my strategy on mobile sites is, of course, you create a mobile site that's truly a cut down. Minimal graphics and call to action, get them to do that email, get them to buy something, or get them to call you. One of those three things, and focus on the simplicity of a mobile apps. You don't have to keep their mobile sites. You don't have to keep doing all this stuff with your fingers. But people do confuse the two, so they ought not to. At least after this conversation, they shouldn't confuse a mobile app with a mobile site.
Plus, it's good for the ego. The business owners that have the app can say, hey, I have an app, my competitor doesn't. Haha.
Yeah. I don't. Whatever.
It makes them. It's a Bentley of all things.
Well, what it does do in the ego world, though, it does, and Mark and I talk about it all the time. SEO is an ensembled creature. Not one single thing will ever really move your SEO needle up. It's all of these little things together that move that needle up. And so an app certainly is another notch on a needle. Okay. But all right, well, that was kind of fun. Mobile apps,
Really good.
All right, Frank.
It was. Hold on.
I hear a ticker tape, Frank. It's time for the twin.
Hey, here we go.
All right, Frank.
All right, twin. This week in the news, small business lessons. This week's twin is, hey, Scooter Braun. Thank you for 2 critical small business lessons. Who in the heck is Scooter Braun? Well, I'm glad you asked. Scooter was born in 1981 in New York City. His parents were dentists and orthodontists, and his paternal grandparents were Holocaust survivors.
Oh, wow.
While attending Greenwich High School, he produced a 10-minute documentary called The Hungarian Conflict about his grandparents and the fate of Jews in Hungary during and after the Holocaust. The film won regional and national awards and caught the attention of producer Steven Spielberg. Spielberg was so impressed he submitted Scooter's film to United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, where it is shown today. Wow, this is a high school kid. So this kid has something special. Scooter went to Emory University in Atlanta, but he dropped out. He was bored. He wanted to be an entrepreneur, and oh, by the way, he was producing fake IDs. So before he got caught, he left school. Right? At age 19, he was offered a job in marketing at a company called So Def Records, which was run by Jermaine Dupri. And the next year, he was promoted to executive director of marketing. While at So Def Records, he produced parties for Britney Spears and the big party for the 2003 NBA All-Star Game held in Atlanta. Scooter left the record company and started his own business. His first deal was brokering a $12 million campaign between Ludacris and Pontiac cars. Okay. Scooter was on his way. But Scooter's claim to fame came in 2008. He was reviewing YouTube videos, what a coincidence, and came across a 12-year-old Canadian boy playing guitar and singing in a church talent competition. How the power of YouTube, right? And he talked about recently in an interview, which I saw, how he happened to see it. It was one of the related videos on the right-hand side when you see a video, and he clicked on it by mistake. Well, he was so impressed with this kid that he immediately knew this kid would become a big star. Scooter contacted this boy's mother and convinced both of them to leave Canada and move next door to Scooter all at Scooter's expense. And as they say, the rest is history. The boy's name is Justin Bieber. He was the boy of Justin Bieber. Other highlights of Scooter's career, he brought Psy, Psy, the Korean chubby singer that did Gangman Style, that has over 2 billion views on YouTube. He discovered singer and Nickelodeon star Ariana Grande, and he is the producer of the new hit TV show called Scorpion. Okay, about 4 nerds that work for U.S. intelligence agencies. Okay, great, but what does this have to do with 2 critical small business lessons? I'm glad you asked. Small business lesson number 1. Scooter's job is to make each of his clients into a star. His client's success is his only focus. Shouldn't that be the job of every small business owner? To make everyone in the 27 seconds program that we talk about here, 10 of the 11 types of 27-second stories are all about how one of your clients became a star. Doug and Annalisa, for example, is the one we talked about often. So small business lesson number 1, when you talk about your business, do not tell people what you do and how great you are. 99% of business owners do that. Tell people how you made one of your clients a star. Small business lesson number 1. Small business lesson number 2, and we'll probably come back to number 1 later. You can relate to, Peter. Small business lesson number 2. With Scooter's success, he is besieged by offers of people wanting him to work his magic on them. However, Scooter will only work with people that he believes he can work with. If he does not think you will be successful, he will not work with you. Point number 2, if you will not follow his direction, he will not work with you. Small business lesson number 2, only work with clients that you believe will be successful and will follow your direction.
Can I interrupt you?
Please.
I just got a text, literally, just right now.
Okay.
This is from Gary Brown of Charlie Maroney.
Yep.
And he says, "Hi, Peter. Just got an interesting call from Google. After about 10 minutes on the phone asking if we could use more business, you searched for Italian food Indio." That's their URL, right?
Right.
Then he said that he didn't think we would be able to pull people in from the Coachella Valley or Palm Desert, but when he pulled up Italian food Indio, he didn't think they could do anything for us. End of conversation, he says. We just beat Google. There it is.
There you go. There you go.
Talk about a coincidence, a small business lesson you're talking about. There you go. Matched URLs, they're so powerful. And and that's a client of mine, paying client. It's got to like that.
There you go.
I'm sorry,
there
Frank.
you go.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the 2 small business lessons. It's all about your client becoming a star, and be very selective. If you can't make them a star, or they will not follow your direction, having no client is better than having a bad client.
I've gone through that lately,
Yes.
and one of the things that actually, from yesterday's lesson, my tagline, so I'm not going to get embarrassed any longer.
Very good.
Having recently taken a company from 1 sale a month to 2 sales per day, I only work with businesses who are serious about their growth. End of sentence. And if they're not serious, I don't want to waste my time.
That tells it all. That tells it all, doesn't it?
I think it does. And I won't even waste my time any longer. I mean, it's sad, but there are some people who hire you, and then when you tell them the right answer, they argue, arm wrestle constantly, and they reluctantly go along with you, and then they change their mind, and then they blame you on this and do it. I don't have time for that stuff. And this one company we were talking about, not to put another feather in my cap, their product is $1,000 product, and they used to sell one a month. And after I got done with them, that's 2 a day. Do the math. That's 60,000 a month. That's 720,000 a year in income that I got them to go to, and then they backed off the formula. And their sales are dropping. So it's a definite formula. You got to work it, just like Phil. You got some great qualified leads in there, Phil. Now we got to work them. And if you, nothing's going to happen. But sorry, Frank.
Yeah,
I couldn't stay scary enough to send me that message right now.
Well, when I talk about somebody say, well, what about these people really need our help, even though they won't follow our direction? Maybe I can change them. No, you're not going to change them. Mm-mm. And by the way, if you let me be bold here. If you have a quality product or service, honest, ethical, and so forth, there's enough people out there who are willing to work with you if you can attract them and will follow your direction. What happens to the other people that we know, we're not going to mention them, that we can talk about, there are enough charlatans that we call competitors who will take their money and
not deliver.
Don't get into that business. Become the Scooter Braun. You're looking for a Justin Bieber, an Ariana Grande, a Psy, whoever it is. Okay, you're not going to chase Johnny Karaoke from the bowling alley. And I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's not going to follow direction because whatever it is. So I think we have by the way, Scooter is 33 years old. His net worth is $23 million.
Gotta like
and
that.
He invested in Uber and Pinterest.
Yeah.
He is no dummy. He is no dummy. He's very impressive, and his wife is an extremely attractive, very aggressive lady as well. She's very successful.
Very cool.
So, yeah, that's my twin.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And I think it says a lot when you're. And I've thought a lot for the last week. How could I have avoided getting involved with these individuals? And I'm not sure I have an answer to that. But I had seen signposts up ahead that this was going to be a problem. And I think what I need to do personally, and I would counsel more people to do it, is to set expectations up front and keep those repeated expectations up front. For another example, we 4 of us here go to the old 111 Business Group, which is now, what is it called, Mark? Or the Business Growth Network? Network, right. Anyway, now Frank and I and Dick are working with Frank, obviously, or Dick and I are working with Frank on this table. Frank and I sat and we listened to everybody go around with boring messages of what it is they do. I mean, it was almost painful, wasn't it, Frank?
Yeah, and they all talked about what they do and how great their company is, or their product is, or their service is, or that type of thing. And it's nice. It's an ego thing, and it's a nice thing to tell your parents because they'll be so proud of little Johnny, or little Peter, or little Frankie. Okay, but you're not going to attract anybody because you're just another one of those people. Tell me your Justin Bieber story. Your Doug and Annalise is a Justin Bieber in their field, and right. You, Peter, made that happen. Phil, Dr. Pressling is your Justin Bieber, and you got great stories, and that's what people are attracted to, not how many users you have, how many clients you have, how big how many businesses, floors in your building. Nobody really cares. It'll come about later, but you're not going to attract them. So.
And I think one of the telltale things was Dick actually got a chance to present his entire legal shield and what he's doing. But Dick, would you mind telling the Belisage story again? I mean, I was the one encouraging you to tell your Belisage story, and it's a phenomenal story.
Well, yeah, it's a restaurant in Palm Springs, and give a kind of a 30-second pitch on Legal Shield at a Palm Springs Chamber meeting. And afterwards he said, do you mind coming back and talking to me? So I did, and we spent about a week going over the Legal Shield small business program, He leases the buildings he's in. It's by the airport, and also he has I'm drawing a blank here. This is great. A catering business on the side, and he wants to. He wanted to have some things done. He wanted to expand his business and all, and he had a lot of contracts that he was going to sign. And I said, well, don't sign them. Sign up. It's a $49 decision. You don't like it, you can get out. But do yourself the favor. And he did. And I went in a week or two later to follow up. So I went and he gave me a hug and he said, "You saved me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars." As I contacted Legal Shield, they reviewed the contract and basically said, "Rip it up and throw it away. Don't sign it. It's a terrible contract." And he's been a member for quite a while. I go to his restaurant. He's a very great guy, and he loves it. So again, it's just protecting yourself and giving yourself a little security. That's what we provide. Let you live longer and worry less.
And the other small business piece of that is that a lot of people. I used to spend over $10,000 a month on attorneys for patents and keeping patents up across the world, or at least the countries that we wanted to, which is a gimmick in itself. But then going and doing small business stuff like I am, I don't have that kind of resource of be able to spend 10 grand a month, to have that stuff done. And that's why I think Legal Shield, not that this became a pitch for it, but I think in small business we're taxed hard enough on everything we're doing. We have to do it all. The last thing you have to want to worry about is not having an attorney to look over a contract or help develop a contract for essentially less than $1 a day. It's a phenomenal resource is what I'm trying to say. So when we were talking about that for small business,
Yeah.
I thought that was very apropos and not quite the 27-second message, but certainly a great story, huh, Frank?
Really, it's and Dick, again, obviously we were at your talk, and you told us a lot about your personal life, which allowed us to get closer to you. Even though I've known you for all these years, I never knew some of the things that you talked about in a thing. But I will remember the Belisage story. I will remember your garage door story.
Yep.
In fact, I already forgot what you said about Legal Shield, and I know some kind of Stanislavski or something, some law firm, I guess it is, and I may be close or not close. But those two stories stick in my mind. Okay. The other data and facts about this and about that and 32%, 89%, I don't care about those numbers. What I care about is you saved $160 or whatever it is on your garage door, and Belisage saved thousands of dollars. And these are real people that I can relate to. We're not talking about Cindy Crawford or even Justin Bieber, if you will, unless I'm in that field. We're talking about real people, and I've been to Belisage restaurant. I know who the owner is and his wife and so forth. I can relate to that. I can relate big time to that, and that will stick in my mind.
Yeah. So storytelling, we tend, but that's how we used to pass our histories as humans, right? Mm-hmm. So we're all taking it full circle back into our pitches now to tell stories that are compelling for people to chase you as opposed to you chasing your client. But right. When you first said, Frank, wouldn't it be nice if clients chased you? Yeah, it'd be wonderful, but how the heck do you do that? And you're doing that.
There you go.
Yeah, an amazing paradigm shift.
Yeah, and again, when you talk about storytelling, people say, "Oh yeah, oh right," because storytelling is a big thing right now. Everybody's talking about stories of their company. You're talking about stories of their company, not stories of their clients. I don't care about the story of your company. Eventually I will, before I sign the check or sign a contract, whatever I'm going to do with you, but you're not going to attract me. Tell me a story about a client that you made a star that I can relate to, and my first question is, can he do that for me? And my second question is, how quickly can I meet with him to find out if he can? Because I don't want to miss out. You've attracted me. And that's the missing piece.
Now, interesting to note, when I counsel people in businesses, I always say people buy with emotion backed up by logic. That's the purchasing equation. Okay? What you're doing, Frank, is you're developing the emotional part of the purchase. in 27 seconds, and that's what they want. But wait, is it a good deal? You know, have they been around a while? Just like I'm validating your point. Ultimately, you're going to want to check the credentials, right? That's
Yes.
the logic part of the buy. But the emotional part of the buy is what you're really accenting the front end of what we're doing here. And you know, like when you go see a car, it's, oh wow, I want that car. It'll make me look great. How I feel when I drive it. Oh, but wait a second, does it give good gas mileage? Is it a good price? You know, and that's the purchasing equation. And we buy everything that way. It's a universal law.
Well,
And what you're doing is being able to encapsulize the front end of that.
right, and working with you guys and with Phil, who was on here. I developed 27 program initially just to get clients into your sales funnel.
Right.
That was it. When can we meet? And we talk. We have a whole program. How you don't tell them too much. You attract them and engage them and so forth. Attract them, and that's complete. And I've got clients that I'm working with right now. As a matter of fact, the next phase, which will be coming out shortly, is what do you say in a 27-second format to engage them? That's phase number 2. That'll come out shortly. Phase number 3 will be how do you handle their objections in 27-second format.
Seconds, right.
And phase number 4, the close. Attract them, engage them, overcome objections, sign them. And it's logical, but in each case, again, I'm going on here, but I apologize. In each case, they want you more than you want them, because you are the prize. You're the prize.
You know, it's really sad, Frank. You have all these clients, but I'm the only prize. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, you got it.
Sorry.
Prize man. Okay, cool. All right.
All right. Dick.
Thank you.
Dick, take
Yes.
it away on entrepreneurial stuff.
Okay, I'm going to just relay some information I read about from Mark Cuban. For those who don't know Mark Cuban, I'll give you a quick rundown. He says he kicked off his entrepreneurial career at the age 12 selling garbage bags. Yes, really. Door to door. Following a string of self-started ventures through college, Cuban launched a hardware and software integration company called Micro Solutions, which he sold to CompuServe in 1990. Within 5 years, he co-founded web radio company Broadcast.com, which Yahoo acquired in 2000 for nearly $6 billion, that's billion with a B, in stock. Today, at the age 52, Cuban is known as the often outspoken owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's the chairman of cable network HDNet. So I think it's kind of these things that used to be the thing when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. I think it's important when someone like Mark Cuban says, "I have 3 tips for you," that you listen. Now I want to go back to something we talked about last week. None of us are Mark Cuban. We're all our own individual self, and you have to take what he's advising you to do and do it in your own style and your own manner. Okay, the first tip is treat your customers like they own you, because they do. And he says no matter how big your business gets, you actually never own it. According to Cuban, your customers are the true owners. It is so much easier to be nice, to be respectful, put yourself in your customer's shoes and try to understand how you might help them before they ask for help. So it's basically the customer is king, but put yourself in their shoes and act like they own you. Because if they go away, you won't own anything. Okay, the second one is find your weaknesses before your competitors do. It's not enough to bring your business idea to market. Cuban says you have to be steps ahead of your competitors who are trying to take your market share. And he goes on, he says, if you have a business that competes with one of mine, and this gives you kind of the mentality of Mark Cuban, I'm going to try to kick your butt and put you out of business. I presume that you're trying to do the same thing to me, which is why I always try to look at each of my businesses from the perspective of my competition. I think if I wanted to put my company out of business, what would I do? If I want to take customers away, what would I do as a competitor? So it's kind of like, when you're analyzing your business, don't just dwell on your successes. Don't just dwell on how great you are. do a complete analyzation and look at where are you vulnerable, and where do you, need to do some improvement. Are you, Peter talks a lot about, the digital world that you live in. When you analyze your digital capabilities, you stack up with what's going on in the world today. I mean, so you should probably list, each department of your company. You should really look at to see, am I up to date? Am I competitive? What do I need to do to improve? And don't fall in love with your strategy. It may be a great strategy, but someone will come along next week and have a better one. So you got to really keep evaluating where you are. And the last one, the best startup capital is sweat equity. If you ever watch Shark Tank, you'll know where Mark Cuban's coming from. He's a big believer in getting your hands dirty, starting out, do it yourself. Don't come looking for him, right off the bat. Build a little bit of business and then look for him. And he says there's no room for excuses when launching a business. Not having much startup money or a lack of the cachet of professional connections should never stand in the way, Cuban says. And here's I think, is really the gist of being an entrepreneur. This is a quote from him. He says, great entrepreneurs invest the time, no matter how many hours a day, to learn more about their industry and the business they want to start more than anyone else. They realize that ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese are the fuel they need because every other penny they get working from that night job is going to go to their business. So, if you're in business, it's not a cush deal. Everybody thinks, God, I wish I owned my own business. I was my own boss. And I think Peter and I were talking yesterday when he was kind enough to buy me a birthday lunch. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. It's very difficult to be an entrepreneur. And I think you have to look at these things and see where they fit, again, in your style, in your business, and what you want to accomplish. But I think when Mark Cuban speaks, you should at least listen. And his final paragraph is, Cuban says he knows all too well about making those sacrifices. When I started Micro Solutions, I had just been fired from my last job, was living in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 other guys. I slept on the floor. My dinner was usually the late chicken dinner at Tom Thumb for $1.29, but it allowed me to stay focused on turning Micro Solutions into a $30 million business. I venture to say he's probably worth $10 or $15 billion right now. Is it absolute? No. Is it something you should consider and look at? Yes. Do you do it? Do you try to be Mark Cuban? No. You be Frank, Peter, Mark, Phil, or Dick, and do it the way that you feel comfortable in your style and the culture of your business. So that's kind of the Cuban tips for entrepreneurs.
It kind of harkens back to what you've always said about your own sales staff. I mean, you were leading a $1.2 billion sales company, and how did you always counsel your salespeople, Dick?
Don't try to, every branch had their top sales guy that was the top producer, and I always said, don't try to be anybody but yourself. I would never ever try to, when I manage salespeople, try to make them or force them to sell the way I would. I just try to create the environment, give them the training, things like we're talking about today, but go do it as your own self. Don't imitate anybody, because you're going to fail, because it's going to come across as phony. The customer's going to see that you're not comfortable doing it, and you're just not going to be successful in the long run.
Very cool. And Frank, you always say, what? Be original, right? Be yourself?
Absolutely. It's the one thing your competitors cannot copy. Is you, because no one's like you. It's must-see TV. Shark Tank. We record it so I can skip to commercials, and we watch it the very next day. And there are 6 regulars on the show, the 2 women, Barbara and Laurie Grenier. And what I like about them is that all 6 are very successful. All 6 are very bright, and all 6 are very different. Personalities, approach. The one thing they have in common, they're successful as hell. Very, very, from Damon John to Kevin O'Leary to Hershevek and all of them. It's just It's fascinating, and then you follow up by watching John Taffer on Bar Rescue, or
Right.
Marcus Lemonis on The Profit, or Robert Irvine on Restaurant Impossible. Man, there's such a wealth of knowledge. But Dick, goes back to what you said, and I remember you said this maybe our third show, and I'll never forget it. And I don't think you know how much of an impact you had.
Mm.
You said you heard about this guy named Seth Godin, and how you couldn't relate to him because it was he's from Connecticut, and but then you said, but I could learn a lot from him, or words to that effect. And it's the same with Shark Tank and all these other great shows that we watch on TV. Each one of them has a gem that we could pull out, fit into our personality, our business, our style, our goals, and so forth, and make us that much more successful. The people who fail are the people who don't even try to be successful. So anyway,
You know, Frank, I'll just disagree. And one thing, they have one similarity. All of them, they're on there. They are all self-made, successful business people. They didn't win the gene pool. They all started
Right.
from basically nothing, and that's the one thing they do have in common.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them had the last name of Hilton.
Right, right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, good point. Very good point. Yeah.
Well, I think the point to that is that, and like you said, they're all different in their styles, their personalities, how they approach the Shark Tank deals. They all seem to have their own style of doing it, but they all are very successful and built their vast fortunes from basically nothing. You know, the Robert Herjavec, the guy who always sits in the end. He built software company. He was come from an immigrant parents. They had nothing. So I think it's important that Mark Cuban has to say it all. That is one, realize that you're not them, but you could be them in the successful business world. Maybe not billions, but to a large degree, you can be very successful in the business world, and they give you some good role models, some good guidelines, some good thought-provoking things. But you have to take your business and run it in the way you feel most comfortable.
Well, also, I would say, we all have struggles in our business thinking, well, if I do it this way, is it okay? If I do it another way, is it okay? But hearing from those guys that have been there before, and you hear them speak about the way they've run their business, and then you look at them and go, wait a minute, that's kind of what I do, and if they did it, then what I'm doing is okay. Or if I'm doing something wrong, and they're saying, well, you shouldn't do this, and then you got to look at yourself and say, well, they're saying that this strategy is incorrect, and you feel yourself doing that strategy, well, then maybe you should change and try something else because they've been there before. So we learn from their examples.
Right. Yeah, I liked your sunglasses earlier there, Mark.
Well, we understand what that meant, right?
Exactly.
About being our own personality, right?
Being your own personality. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway,
sure, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, that's great. So Dick, are you anything more on that?
No, I'm finished.
All right, sounds good. I don't know, Phil, are you there?
He's muted. It looks like.
He's muted, and I got a picture. Well, Frank, let's do a little update on your 27-second message work with Phil. Can we do that?
Sure. Yeah. I'll give it like because Phil and I works twice a week now. Phil has implemented the 27-second program using an email, and just to recap, he had been utilizing direct mail and then hired a telemarketing company to follow up, trying to reach dentists. And I don't know if you ever tried to reach a dentist. You don't get them because they're extremely busy and they have gatekeepers and so forth. And so Phil implemented a 27-second email with zero follow-up. Zero follow-up. He said he gave 27-second message, had a little video attached to it, and said, if you're interested, please contact me, and if not, that's okay. As of yesterday, 23.3% of the dentists either themselves or under the direction of their office manager, contacted Phil and says, "Hey, can we? What is the next step?" And so that was the phase one of 27, which is the attraction mode. So he now has 14 into his pipeline, his sales funnel pipeline. What we're working on next is this next phase of 27 seconds, which I think we talked about earlier, called the engagement phase. You've got to keep them excited and motivated and anxious and eager and hungry all the step of the way. Okay, again, always you proving yourself by your expertise and your track record and your success stories, and them proving themselves is that if they can they be successful, and are they willing to follow direction? And that's a lesson we've all learned recently. And so we got progress. We've accomplished phase one, which is a 23.3% names into the funnel of people contacting him, chasing him. Okay. Now the next phase. Now we've got to start the engagement and then the objections and the closing phase. So that's where we're at. It's very exciting. 23.3% response from a one-time email with no follow-up to dentist is unheard of. It's just amazing.
Unheard of.
It is
All
amazing.
these people wanting to have those types of clients. I mean, Dick, wouldn't you have loved to have that kind of people in your funnel like that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be talking with Frank about it this afternoon. So I have a great marketplace that I haven't tapped at all that I think this could help me with. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where we are. It's exciting. It's growing. I'm very, very pleased with where we've come. I appreciate all the help that I'm getting from all you guys, as a matter of fact, and I'm excited to release this out to the world.
How's your book coming?
And
Well, you've talked me out of that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you. I know. You're very good at that. You've talked me out of it, and I'm now generating a series of. My product will now be available in different levels. Each level being tied to a color of belt, like they do in those martial art things.
Right.
And,
Six
the Six Sigma. I looked at Six Sigma, and to achieve each belt, there'll be a series of videos that you have to review and learn from. Each video is a maximum of 20 minutes. Hopefully, there'll be more like 10 to 12 to 15 minutes, attacking a specific point with examples and so forth. And anyway, so that's where the product is going, and it's what I do when I do everything that I do. So it's cool.
You know what I like about it is, unlike many other systems where you have to study, work, 6 months later you start something, yours is like right out of the box. I mean, right out of the starting gate, we've got something going. And I mean, you see results right away. Isn't that's awesome,
Well, I'm a testament to that, Frank. What was it the other week? I was kind of providing a strategy of a story strategy, and that day a couple people came up to me and said, well, maybe I should be on your website, Mark. And I think the way I presented what I do really caught somebody, and it was within the hour that they came up to me, and that was different. It's you get a different response from your strategy, Frank.
Well, and you get a different response because
I mean, very good.
I mean, you don't sound like everybody else. Let me tell you how this. Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you me. I'm great. Great. I don't care. Okay. Tell me how you can make me great, but don't tell me. Tell me a story about how you made somebody else great that I can relate to. Now you've got my attention.
And what's really interesting with that. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
I was just saying, is that like sort of climbing a board strategy? Like people are jumping on the ship, so to speak. So you're trying to get the people to jump on the ship too. Is that sort of your strategy, Frank?
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Well,
I'm too old like this.
If everyone's maybe it didn't word it correctly what I was thinking. I mean, if you got one person climb on board, you got 2 people climbing on board, well, let's get the whole 10 people climbing on board.
I guess people that we are marketing to all have aspirations, dreams, and hopes. And if you can help them get to where they want to go, you're their hero, because you're going to make them a hero. It's got to all be about them. And people. Okay, I'm reading chats as we're talking here. Yeah, we just found out what happened to Phil. Okay.
Yeah,
so you're saying
Phil wishes he had that plumbing app now.
Yeah, he's got that Uber.
Speak of.
That plumbing Uber app. But Mark,
what a coincidence, huh? What a coincidence.
Getting back to your point. Again, obviously, 27% Be My Baby, I'm very proud and so forth. But it's not for everybody. It's only for those who are willing to step outside of their comfort zone, talk about their clients as opposed to talk about themselves, that kind of thing.
Let me butt in. I mean, we had a new visitor at the Business Growth Network that's a barber, a female barber. Yeah. And she went down the litany of stuff that a barber does. We all know that. But had she focused on how her skill master barbery will make us feel and look to impress our clients, would have been a far better message, right?
Yeah.
Then I use a number 2 pencil, or I use a number 2 thing to cut hair, or, and I got so much square footage, and it's really open. Well, who cares? Who cares?
Right.
But
right.
Obviously she cares, but I don't know why. Right. Yeah. But anyway, there you go. All right. Coming up on our hour. Anybody else? Yep. Any other topics you want to kick off?
No.
Going twice. Gone. Okay. Say good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
And Frank, say good night there. And Mark, thanks. Say good night.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, guys, hang on. Hopefully this has been good for everybody. Hang on a second.
Yep.